going
Greg Davis.
to call to order the Building and Planning Committee and special board meeting of the directors. It is 1:00. And so the first thing we're going to do is the approval of agenda. If everybody's looked at it or has any questions.
Motion to.
I've got a question on the agenda. I talked to Tim, I talked to you, I talked to Heidi about putting the pharmacy on there. And everybody, all three of you said, well, we can talk about pharmacy, it don't have to be on.
We're talking,
And
plan on talking
we
about.
are going to
We are
talk
going to
about
talk.
it.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, but I mean,
That's item F, right?
That packet, Heidi's under a wicked load from attorneys for the lawsuit and stuff like this, so they'd already put this out, she would have had to redo the packets.
then we shouldn't have lawsuits.
I thought that's what we.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
I agree with that. But yes, we're going to discuss options because there's nothing that we need to make a motion on. It's just we want to discuss some.
We want to get people's idea.
So we'll do that after number 9 dietary.
Okay, but she didn't come to the meeting. I had requested her to get an invite, the pharmacist.
Oh.
You may have, okay.
Well, it's,
Well, I just like to hear,
no, I know, it would be good to hear from her to see how it's going down there.
yeah, because I hear different things, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Any objections or anything? You want to pull anything off if the, oh, not from this one, but so any objections to
Like
it?
texting her.
I make a motion. to
Awesome
accept it is present, or is.
So I was still talking.
Jeans.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Since we're all here and I'm a yes. Public comment, I don't see anybody here from the public. I don't know why they don't want to talk. Moving on to D, approval of the minute from July 30th, 2024 meeting. This is the action item. Those are pages 2 and 3.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
The minutes you mean? Gene,
Pardon me?
the minutes you mean?
The minutes,
The minutes.
I thought I said.
The Gene, yeah. Just making sure, I'm just making sure.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a fight between
Got
us and
a close second.
third.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'm a yes. So we're going to move on to E, which is the project update, which is discussion. Marked on page 4.
Okay. So, for the master plan, or seismic upgrade, there's really, there's no change regarding the plans. They're approved. But we are doing the next step, FEMA. They will be here on the 4th of September, next Tuesday, Wednesday. Anyway, September 4th. They'll be meeting here at 9 a.m. It's going to be a gentleman by the name of Mark Greenberg with Pacific Legacy, these are consultants to FEMA, and a Cheryl Brooks-Shear from JRP. Also, the chairperson Robinson from the Kern Valley Indian Community will be here to give any input if there's any issues related to Indian sites or that sort of thing. Because this particular site visit is for the environmental planning and historic preservation portion of the application.
Is that good or bad? Are we doing stuff with Robinson?
No, I wasn't even aware of him. They reached out to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I had not heard of him. We've dealt with some of the other local heads and stuff like that, but I've not heard of him.
But when we did our environmental study, we did some research, and to our knowledge, there's nothing right in this vicinity of the hospital that's ever been found that was related to the native tribes. There are some on this side of the lake and on the other side of the lake. In fact, I have a friend who is a Native American from here. And I spoke with him yesterday and I asked if he knew of anything in this area, and he said he wasn't aware of anything this right in this vicinity. So we'll see what,
You mean in the immediate vicinity?
yeah, because we're only disturbing the ground.
What's our girl that did that lot next door? She looked for that stuff on the empty lot.
Karen North.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Karen and I worked together on the whole environmental impact report, and we found nothing. But you know, I mean, we still got to jump through all the hoops.
Unlike the highway project going through Alancha where they had to stop,
For a bird.
Yeah, so
reroute the highway.
anyway, so that's next week. So that's our next step. So we're still in the running in the FEMA grant.
Good news.
Yeah. And so the administration building, as you all know, we moved accounting and billing in, A and B. We're talking about what to do next, possibly Suite C, a revised plan of Suite C, which would be for medical records. But, you know, it's up for discussion whether we do medical records or education, which is Suite D. The education has to move in the first phase of the seismic project, and medical records has to move in the second phase. So,
So, okay, on the administration building, that sign that's out front, there was nothing about a lease on that sign.
I don't know anything about, you're talking the bowling alley
And
side.
they're not maintained, so, you know,
Yeah.
if they want to maintain it and everything, and we want to let them use it and give them a lease, that's one thing, but to either come down or something to make it look better. And we got an empty sign underneath it.
I
I was gonna say, keep them, we can have clock those.
Yeah.
what I want to do is I want to reach out to Scott Kissick, because I'm assuming that his dad probably, you know, who owned everything, probably made a deal with the bowling alley, obviously previous owners of the
But
bowling
did
alley.
we have to live by it?
Well, that's what we need to find
We'll have
out,
to find out. what it is.
because there's two signs there. The bowling alley sign is higher, and then our sign is lower down. And theirs has its own electric service coming in from the power pole. So, yes, so I will reach out to Scott and see.
And it's
if he
not
knows.
active.
Yeah, you're right, it's not us.
So if they want, there is an agreement with them, and I don't have a problem with it being.
Yeah.
But they need to maintain it and make it look decent. It
Understand?
looks like shit. I mean,
Hey, we can do adopt a pole.
Uh.
Gene, and maybe,
Adopt the sign.
well, it's on a pole, sorry.
It is on, yeah, it's on two poles. Yes, it's a very large sign.
It is a large sign.
In fact, I was there the other day working, and some people pulled up and says, "Is this the bowling alley?" I said, "No, it's around the corner right there."
that was back when everything had to be so high, even my signs too damn high.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, we'll look into that, about that. All right.
Yeah, you're right. It hasn't been maintained in a long time. It does kind of give a bad perception, like you said, people think that it's
Front of our building,
that's on the other side.
Right, yeah. Well, and I'm gonna get the address at both ends, on the windows up high. And then I'm gonna put what each department is as we move them in on the glass. So that's the easiest way to do it, and will be the most visible.
And is there lights or something that doesn't attract bugs to where they do the spider webs and all that? Is there a way?
There is a yellow light that supposedly draws less. I don't, and it may be available in LED. You're talking the ones under the front porch?
One of the ones that's attracting the bugs.
Yeah, and also, when we cleaned that last, I sprayed that entire face and all of the underside and the face of the building with spider poison spray. So hopefully we don't have as big a problem. So I brought my large sprayer from home and purchased spider spray and
That alley got paved.
Yeah,
That's not maintained by the county. Somebody made a mistake.
yeah.
yes.
Well, I
It's the whole
I
alley.
appreciate that they did, because, well, we own the alley from the street on the east end up to the end of our property line. And then it's whomever else on down behind the Red Rooster.
They did the whole thing. all
They did
way
the whole
down.
thing, and I appreciate that they did,
Yeah, yeah.
because it was in kind of rough shape. But I wasn't gonna tell them that it was private property.
I was hoping they'd bleed over into our yard parking lot.
Yeah, and actually on the front side, they did a really nice job ramping up to the drive going
They
in there
did
too.
that. I bet you the restaurant gave
Probably.
something to do it, and
Yeah.
they couldn't do part of it, not do ours too. So that was-
So it looks very, it looks good. Yeah. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. We're not, whether we're gonna work on C or D next.
And that, is that gonna determine who's going in there next?
Yeah, who would move next?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, two things, 'cause like I said, when Bob originally
Class?
met with them, when we grew up, medical records had lots of offices and stuff like that, but when we talked about it the other day, because the issue was, we put a lot of walls in there, that we've got it crosses over the 25,000
Right.
threshold. So I said, well, can't we do it with just one big open area and maybe one or two offices? So that's
Yeah.
what they have now.
Right.
and so, yeah, the thought is we do need two offices. But we were gonna make offices just for additional staff in the back third. If I start breaking it up into a whole bunch of offices and redoing the air conditioning and all the electrical and all that stuff, then it becomes a permitted job that's gonna exceed 25,000. So, but if we just take 2/3 of it, put a wall in and two small offices, we can do it for.
Right, yeah, and I understand that. I just didn't know,
Yeah.
who's gonna decide who goes first? You think the,
We'll take a look at the cost and.
Yeah, what we.
because you said they need to be out before,
Yeah, but either one we would have them both done before.
The nice part about having
Deciding.
medical records go down because they work hand in hand with business office
Right.
and stuff like that,
okay,
coding. and all
Yeah,
that.
there's pros and cons to both options. Yeah, so,
That combined education could move into the CNA classroom.
yeah,
okay,
yeah, so, yeah, we have options.
Okay.
Heidi's right. We have options there, but yeah, I at the speed that the FEMA review has been going, I'm not real concerned that we're gonna run out of
that
time,
could change.
but it could.
Could.
I could get an email next week.
Okay.
And
Hey, we're good to go. Here's your money.
well, then what we would do is we'd make sure we did education first because they're
Yeah.
in phase one.
Bob, how soon do we have to request an extension on the plans?
Well, the plans were approved April 15th. So prior to that, we would put in the request asking for a year's extension. But they just got, yes. We don't want to wait till it expires and then.
Right, that's what I was saying.
That's why I have the date there is to remind us
Got it.
when the plans were approved. All right, so the emergency generator, we did move forward on the next step because the transfer switches, which we had originally purchased, did arrive finally from ASCO. And so they were brought up on a semi.
Could I back up just one second?
Yes, sure.
Okay, parking.
Yes,
Eventually, it's gonna be a problem. There's zero question. Parking is gonna be an issue.
it's gonna get crowded if we get all the suites filled.
What are we gonna do? We should consider at least finding out the price on that lot next door.
Exactly, we agree. We talked about that.
I've
That's our
already
best
done the research. I already know who the lady is in LA who owns it. And Tim has that information.
She may want to donate it.
Yeah, the last time I heard she wanted 55,000 for it, but that was.
That's actually not bad. I think the assessed value was higher. I think.
Yeah.
And like Catherine said, she
You
might
never
want to
know.
donate it. It's for the hospital.
Be happy to reach out to her. Yeah, I would love to have that property because I'm a little concerned without not being kept up and stuff like that, because you got those weeds there that becomes a fire hazard right next to
Maybe
our
for an
building.
extra septic because we're starting to use it.
Yeah.
New bathrooms.
Well, we repaired the septic system on the building. So hopefully it's designed and will continue to handle the 8 bathrooms that are.
Are those the 2 bathrooms done in the?
No, HR is a higher priority. So once HR is done, we'll get back down there and start
They've
finishing.
got 2 working until
We got 2
finished.
Yeah, we have 2 working.
now, I think.
But yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, that's quite all right. There's just a lot going on. All right, so what we did is we had a crane here and we craned the transfer switches into place. 4 of them that go into the yard and the one that goes into the building. And, anyway, so the plan is in October to start pulling the wire through all of the conduits from the generator all the way across the campus, up the side of the building, across over the bridge into the next buildings, and start setting the switchgear as it arrives in October and November. And then we'll have some shutdowns. Actually have to kill power to some areas, which will be all have to be carefully scheduled and orchestrated and made sure that we're good to go. And then once that's done and we test everything, then the generator project will be complete. It's this point expected to be January, February, if the switchgear arrives on time. So. Anyway, and then the transfer switch that failed, I'll take it off for next month. It's in working, doing great. The weekly tests are no issues anymore with 30 power to the lab.
So you say that the transfer switch, this is not the temporary one that we got out here.
This is the temporary.
Got it. Okay, so the other switch.
The 5 permanents are here also and craned in place. Ones that will.
They're just not ready to be hooked up yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until the wire, and yeah, that system will not go live till first part of next year.
Got it. Okay.
This is the temporary one that goes from the temporary generator to the acute care building. And then on the boiler number 2 replacement, they will be, I'm trying to get all of the contractors here for today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. And if we can get them fired up, they fire to full 100% and building management system updated, then those will be online. Our two older boilers are currently down due to pumps being rebuilt. And they will be here tomorrow to finish the rebuild on the pumps. Our building management system actually called for heat for the last 2 nights. And the pump started, but no heat came on because we have no boilers in operation right now. But you don't normally expect low 60s, high 50s in August.
Yeah.
It's a little bit odd. So, but the building didn't get cold. Nobody complained of being cold. But we have an overlap between the heating and the cooling systems, and it just got cold enough that it called for heat, but nobody really needed it. So the older boilers should be back online after tomorrow. And then if all goes well, Thursday for the others. And then, or if train can't get here, then it'll probably be in about 2 weeks. And that project will be wrapping up. The NPC seismic upgrade of the dietary surgery, the NPC seismic upgrade. Michael is trying to get a meeting scheduled, our architect, with HCI. And so far he has not emailed me with a date for that meeting, because what they did is they responded to our applications, and the applications came back as needing additional study, which he disagrees with. And so we are going to have a meeting with HCI to find out why they feel there needs to be additional study, which would just cost us money above and beyond what was already done, which we've already paid for and it's complete and put in. So hopefully we win on that discussion, and then we can proceed with putting together plans for that scope of work, which is separate from the physical seismic of the building. This is the systems in the buildings, in the newer buildings. And then on the dietary stove, I have submitted the plans to the county public health, their approval, and it's a simple upload. But the instructions, I have the instructions all here. Instructions say you have to pay the fee. The review fee is like $785 when you submit the plans. But that was when you carried the plans in and put them on the counter with your check. They only accept them as uploaded to a portal now. And I did that, and they uploaded, and they didn't ask me for payment. So I've got to get a hold of the gentleman out, how we get that worked out. It's just new. The county's just changed to that. So once the county approves it and CDPH blesses it, then we already have approved plans and we can proceed with ordering the stove and getting it. And the skilled nursing building reclassification, I have not had time to work on. Or the dietary cosmetic work that we're gonna do there to make it a little nicer. Due to the move we had to do related to the HR building. So, the HR is moving Friday.
And they're moving to
to
the old
house.
finance
County,
building?
yes.
Okay.
We are, we replaced all the lights. They were broken, damaged, mostly burnt out, illegally wired. So we pulled them all down and we're putting in all new lights and, cleaning it all up. We created a secure entry area so that when you enter, there'll be a window to the girls, similar to the HR now. And this morning, I built the counter to go in the window opening itself. And that'll be put in either this afternoon or in the morning. And so we're on track. That
When did we get notice that we were being evicted?
Heidi, do you know the date on that?
This,
Only about, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
the,
that we had to be out of HR?
they notified us the day it went into escrow. It's a 65-day escrow that closes on September
Okay.
6th.
So it's a little
So
longer than I was
they
thinking.
notified us immediately. It's been like,
Yeah.
had 2 months.
Yeah,
Seems like we should have been a little better prepared. Seems like we're doing everything at the last minute.
Was a timing issue associated with getting the other two departments moved out and down there. So we had issues. We were still finishing up down there before we could move accounting. and business.
hindsight's perfect.
Planning is a good thing too. And that's what we are.
And we have met we're meeting all the deadlines for having everybody out. We will be out on Friday and we will pull down our dish on the roof. And it's theirs.
It's all done on time.
Right. All done on time.
And that was gonna be Tim's office originally.
Well-
Is there a bathroom there
Which one's that?
for an office?
You're talking up in the.
Up here?
In the house, there's two restrooms in the house. There's one in the hallway and there's one in the back, what was the master bedroom. So everything is repainted, new lights through everything.
That's great.
You take any of the walls out or anything or make it,
Nope, no need to. All the walls are where we need them. We added 2 walls. And a door. And to create the secure area.
most of the walls are not bearing, most everything.
They are. The only bearing walls are the front wall and the back wall. That is a clear span truss all the way through that house. So no bearing walls. So we are on track we have 1 day to finish up odds and ends. It's in tomorrow, as long as you approve it today. That's how tight we are. So.
Right.
Is that, if you're talking, is this place talk about carpet? I see you didn't get bids on it, you just got,
There was not time to get bids. So we went with the local contract.
well, the local one that does a better job and charges less is now in the building where Isabella Carpet, our quarry used to be.
Not familiar with that person.
What is it, Red? Is it Moffett?
From River Flooring.
I thought, okay, I thought
their building.
I thought Kern, So who's across the street from you?
He moved into Isabella Flooring,
Oh, okay, so he moved out of the building by
Out
the
of
post
there.
office down to,
took over Isabella Flooring.
well, and
And truthfully, he hired on
yes,
most of his installers.
yes.
So he kept all
And
this.
so, yeah, and so we are in essence using the new modified company.
No, he's
No,
doing
because
his own thing.
The bid shows Isabella Flooring,
Well, it is Isabella Flooring. But they are
unless they're. working
in
together.
business somehow with Moffett, is my understanding.
Okay.
I don't. It's all been evolving here over the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Anyway. All right, so that's the report, and when we said we would talk about Mesa Clinical Pharmacy, so that's a discussion.
You talked to dietary.
I just said that there's
Yeah.
no change, we're not working on it till we get past HR's move.
Okay.
This is this Friday. So next week we'll start working on dietary.
And, one of the reasons I wanted to bring up pharmacy in here is, because we are going to be talking, or we did talk about the new administration building, and I know there had been talk about them possibly moving in there, but I hear more stuff out on the streets that confuse me before I come to the meetings. And that's kind of like playing telephone or something.
What did you hear?
And, well, that I guess the pharmacist didn't think it was enough room for her. And so that, would like to look at something else or so. Hello, Suda, welcome.
Oh, hi. Yes. Hello, everyone. I've seen the building from outside and I did get to look at the proposed building last week. Mark showed me around the building. And from what I can see, until I've actually sectioned each portion out, I don't think it's going to be large enough for what our needs will be. If you want a good retail front where you've got seating area for the patients, where you have a wellness consultancy room where we can do medication therapy management, and then you've got to have the back pharmacy area. You need an area for your skilled nursing facility. You need an area for delivery. We'd need an office for 340B, and if you want drive-through as well. I'd have to sit there and sort of, section everything out and see what space we have. And if you want to sort of automate certain systems and bring on a robot for our dispensing, and it depends on what volume we have. And currently we are taking new patients on every day. So the rate that we're going will probably will more than double our prescription volume. And if that happens, then my advice would be to have a robot to automate the prescription processing, where they can do 200 prescriptions, within a few hours. That in itself, makes it more efficient and more accurate, and it saves time. So it depends on what everyone wants. If you just want a small pharmacy and we'll do everything manually, that's fine. But if you're looking to do home deliveries, maybe even do mail order for patients that can't make it all the way here, or that we can't drive to rural areas, we could maybe have mail order delivery. It depends on what your expectations are for the pharmacy. But I think currently, looking at the space, I don't think it would be large enough, because even if patients come over from Kernville, if they come into a pharmacy, they may want to purchase over-the-counter items. They may want to purchase other items which, they're not going to want to go to Rite Aid, they're at the pharmacy. So perhaps we'd have a larger range in our storefront. So you have to take all these things into consideration on what you actually want. But in terms of filling prescriptions, yeah, I think it's going to be too small personally.
That end of the building could, there's no line that can be changed there. It could be bigger,
Yeah.
a little bigger, and then the storage or whatever you're talking about could be adaptive.
Yeah, so let's talk about what our options are. So our options are obviously, either to continue to use the existing building, make more efficient use of the space. We even talked about, we could add a module to the back of that building. Could be an option. So that's one option. Taking over Suite E.
Before you get to that point,
Yeah.
the other thing we talked about was possibly bringing in an architect, local architect, take a look at the space back there and see how we could make it more efficient. I mean, with the
Yeah.
existing walls where they're at and counters and things like that, it's not laid out real well. So there may be opportunities there to pick up some efficiencies within that building. Is it ideal? No, we know it's just not a great building for doing pharmacy.
And everything, everything's driven by cost. So obviously, if we can utilize the existing building better, that would be the least costly option.
Do we have
But-
anybody that's looking at it,
Not yet.
an architect or a consultant that understands retail pharmacy?
No.
That's not what we do. We don't do retail pharmacy generally as a hospital.
No, not here we don't, but we do that.
But yeah, I know, but we don't know what we're doing.
I would not even offer to say that I could design the space because, we would need someone who knows.
That's why we talked
retail
about getting
space.
an architect.
We
Yeah.
need somebody sooner than later.
Good.
Yeah,
So let's
because
discuss it.
Bob mentioned to me that nobody had time to look at all the options, like maybe getting a prefab building and putting in.
Let me discuss the options.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Because we have all these options listed here.
Good.
So obviously, the existing building is one option. Getting it more efficient with a good designer could be one option. So the next option would be to move it to, let's just say Suite E, but let's say Suite E and part of the next suite, if we needed that amount of square footage. That's more expensive. Would still require someone to design it, draw it up, and submit it to the county. It would have to go out as a prevailing wage job. And my estimate would probably run between $500,000 and $750,000. Based upon what it was, the bids that came in on
Yeah.
suites B and C.
It's a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, because B and C would be about the same amount of walls, the same amount of work, and the low bid was $560,000.
Right.
So that's an option. Okay. And then another one would be to have a prefab building designed by a company that designs. And we have two possible options. We have the lot next door to the pharmacy, retail pharmacy, where we could place a prefab building. The advantage of prefab, it isn't less expensive, but while we're going through the review process, it can be being built and the site can be prepped and everything, and then it comes out in modules and gets put in place. And there's all types of quality of buildings. I mean, from basically a glorified mobile home, but up to ones that are set in such a way that you do not know that it's not a real building. It's stuccoed exterior and comes in on boy trailers. I did one in Bakersfield that was 3 modules that housed an MRI medical facility for quite a few years. So
But it
it's,
should be cheaper.
no, it's not cheaper.
It's not prevailing wage to all the factory.
That is true. So it might
It's a
come in.
lot of money.
It could come in a little less expensive than if we stick built building on site, because that would be prevailing wage. So we're talking, the option would be a prefab building while we're going through the process, and it would be being built in a factory. Anyway, so that's an option.
That would be one other option if you're
Yep.
looking at that. I think there's 4 lots there. I know there's 3, there might be 4. So in order to put it on there, you would need to do a lot line adjustment. As
Yes,
far as the parking lot on that existing building, I'm not sure they did that. They just threw a parking lot on there. They shouldn't have. They should have done a lot.
I have done a lot of lot line adjustments in Kern County,
Okay, well,
Yes.
meanwhile, if we're ordering, we need to do that prior to.
but yes. And we actually were, we never 100% completed it, but we were looking at merging all of these lots here across the street as well.
There's actually no mandate that you do a lot line adjustment.
You can't,
If you own all 4 lots, you can do whatever you want with them.
okay,
Put a parking lot on one, that's fine. Have a building cross property lines, no problem.
I have not dealt with that as far as on commercial property, but these are
right,
residential.
commercial.
lots.
Now I'm talking about
Residential lots. If you have 2 lots side by side and you have a house on this, you can't park a wheelbarrow. on
Yeah, you
this.
can't do anything residential.
Well, if they're residentially zoned, we're gonna have to get a conditional use permit for it
Anyway,
anyway, and that'll
right.
cover the whole
But
site.
the one down there, these were residential. The one down there is probably commercial.
And so you can do that with commercial?
Yeah. You build right across the property line, that eliminates the need for a lot line adjustment. They're just deep,
Oh, that's good.
they're deep
Yeah,
merged.
and I would obviously clarify that with the county for sure, but yes, I think you're right. For
Yeah.
commercial, yeah, but for residential, no, you have to do the lot line adjustment.
You can build over the property line if you own both. I know that for a fact.
It's been done.
It's legal.
Anyway, it could be. I just know that I own a lot that I can't put a wheelbarrow on.
Right.
Because it's not merged, but if you build across the property line,
Yeah,
then it's.
but it's not contiguous with that house. That's why.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is probably like so far fetched that you guys are gonna think I'm worse than I already am, but so I guess if we're gonna do it, we wanna do it, we wanna make it nice and all that. But I also think we should take into consideration, we're getting a lot more prescriptions. But then how many of those people may change and go, you know what, I'm just gonna get my prescriptions through the mail. Oh, you know what, I'm just gonna pick up my prescriptions when I go to Walmart. So even though I think it's a great idea and the drugstore is already filled up with a clothing store or something, I mean, that didn't take, maybe it's not, it's a trinket, I don't know what kind of store. it is.
Yeah, but it's someone else has moved in.
Yeah,
The
didn't
drugstore.
waste any time. So, and how do we determine that?
Well, here's what my suggestion is. We need to do a pro forma. Okay, we need to sit down and estimate how many we think we will gain, what the profits on those will be, what we might lose, what we might gain additionally over a period of time. And that needs to be calculated out. John just left, but he'll be
talked
the,
about that.
but
So
yeah.
Bob, can I just intervene there? One thing
Yes.
you're not thinking is a lot of these patients from Kernville, we're going to offer a delivery service. And more than likely, most of them will stay with us because they do want their prescriptions delivered.
I wasn't
You know,
suggesting.
yeah.
I wasn't suggesting that you were going to lose a bunch. I was only saying is that in a pro forma, we have to say we believe it will grow to here. It could drop a little, it could go up a little, but this is the amount of money that we would make on those scripts. And then what are the monies that we spend? I worked for Adventist Health for 34 years. And when we did performance, it had to have a 7-year payback. Now, we could go with a longer payback, but that's what they require, that the payback has to be a 7-year payback. I suggest that we do a pro forma first thing, but we also start looking at these various options.
Because a lot of things can change in 7 years.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're already talking about, well, stopping having Airbnbs, those, no more of those.
Gene brought up an idea the other, when we were talking the other day, and that was that, again, at what point is Rite Aid either fine, I'm gonna get out of this building because it's costing me too much money, and then go put up a freestanding place with a drive-through and stuff like that. Now we have competition,
Competition.
again, if we were the only one with a drive-through. So, I mean, you've got to consider those possibilities happen.
So they're gonna stay in there.
Right, I don't know how they can, yeah,
They
right.
got the whole building, they went to chapter 11, so they could afford to move out.
Suda, do you know how many prescriptions Rite Aid has
Thank you.
on a monthly basis?
Well, Darren, pharmacist who worked at a drugstore, is currently working with us now. He works at Mesa, and he said they filled up to 300 prescriptions a day. So that would be around about 3, 5, 15, about 8,000 to 9,000 per month.
That was
Um,
just a drugstore?
No, that was Rite Aid.
Oh,
And
right.
the drugstore, yeah, the drugstore were doing double the volume. Well, they were doing around about 250 prescriptions a day. So they were doing a large volume, and I asked how many patients they had, and they would have had around about 3,500 patients. Currently, we've only taken on 450 patients from the drugstore. And we're even getting transfers from Rite Aid because there are so many patients that are disillusioned with the service that they're getting at Rite Aid. They do not want to go to Rite Aid. So they themselves are losing a lot of patients, and they're coming over. So at this moment, the best thing we should do is just keep advertising and taking on as many patients as we possibly can. The reason is that most patients prefer to go to an independent community pharmacy rather than a chain pharmacy. They find that the service levels are a lot better. And you get to know the patient as well. So more than likely our prescription volume will keep increasing based on our service levels. And once you add delivery on, I think it's going to really skyrocket. So
These are
many
all-
patients are asking for delivery. So,
Well, based on Facebook, nobody wants to go to Rite Aid.
That's true.
Just-
Patients are telling us
Can I
that.
ask a question?
Yes,
Rite Aid.
absolutely.
Hey, Suda.
Bills mine perfectly
Excuse me,
every
Bob.
month.
I've
Um,
had patients actually come in and say, please don't send me to Rite Aid. I don't want to go to Rite Aid. So, we've had a lot of comments about Rite Aid, and they're going through a lot. So,
Suda, we're having
Let's-
this discussion about moving the pharmacy, changing it. Is there some compelling need to do that? Do you
Well-
not have enough space where you are?
I'll put it this way, my office is really small, and I'm having to convert this into a data entry room where I've put 2 stations. I've squeezed an extra person into the office, so there'll be 3 of us in here, just so that we can type the prescriptions. Because the sniff room, that's going to be used for packaging, because currently we only have a 1 packaging station. So I've had to convert the sniff room to add on another tech who can actually package prescriptions. So we are running out of space, and we don't even have a staff room for the staff. They don't have anywhere they can go and have, lunch or a break. It's sort of, hey, wherever you can find a spot.
But you've never had
so-
that, right?
Yeah. right.
Sorry?
You've never had that, right?
No,
It's
we've
not
never
something-
had that.
Okay.
It's nothing new. I suppose I can
Okay.
sit in their car.
It's
But
been
then if
done
we
before.
but the other thing is that if we're going to offer delivery, we need, somewhere to actually schedule the deliveries, and logistically we need space to manage deliveries. They have to have their own space, and then the pickup room, currently we're getting overloaded with the amount of prescriptions that small space can hold. So every 7 days, my staff are having to call patients to say, hey, you need to come and pick your prescriptions up. Otherwise, you have to return them back to stock.
Mark and I interviewed the driver for their drugstore's delivery system. She worked 2 days a week. I think she delivered on Wednesdays and Fridays or something like that, or Tuesdays and Fridays and so forth. And she'd do all of her logistical work in the morning. And then typically from like 11 o'clock on or whatever, then she'd go do one right after another deliveries.
So Suda, with
So forth, so-
the data entry, can that be done off-site? Can it be done in the admin building?
The only people that are allowed to do data entry during COVID, they had a waiver for the pharmacy where pharmacy techs could work off-site, but it's only actually pharmacists that can work off-site at the moment. So the ideal situation, yes, would be to have a clerk do the data entry off-site, but the Board of Pharmacy don't allow that. It has to be under the direct supervision of and control of a pharmacist, so it has to be within the pharmacy space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we looked at
That
it,
would have
too.
been, and think about it, if that was an option, and Rite Aid would have just had a central location where they just typed all the prescriptions, they wouldn't have, and then they would just have central fill and just a shop front. They wouldn't need anyone typing their prescriptions. They
Okay.
would already have done it. So
Right.
no, unfortunately, it's not an option.
What about Leo's building? I'm just throwing that out there. It's sitting over there. I don't know if
You know,
that's.
There is an option, and I'd have to look into it. It's called centralized filling, where you can have a space, an offshoot, where we can actually get licensed by the Board of Pharmacy, and have all the prescriptions filled in that location and then have them delivered to a certain area for pickup. And that could be Mesa Pharmacy, where they could actually come and pick up the prescriptions here. I know that this is a possibility. Some places do use centralized filling. And it was mentioned this morning. I had a meeting with BD for the Max 2 robot, where they do automated dispensing, packaging all the prescriptions in vials, and they can do up to 200 within a few hours. So they mentioned centralized filling as well. That is something that may work for us, where we could keep this shop front as is. We wouldn't need to add on extra space, but you'd have to probably, maybe refurbish it, have a larger walk-in area for the patients, where we could have everything filled off-site in a centralized filling station building. And you could have a prefabricated building, if you're going to do that, you could just add the shop front to it. But that is an option, centralized filling. I could look into that if you wanted me to, where everything's filled off-site and then brought to the pharmacy for patients to either pick up or have delivered.
Yeah, so that was the last thing I was gonna bring up is an existing building somewhere that we would utilize in either that role or a complete whole different building for the entire pharmacy. Obviously, none of these options are gonna happen overnight. So obviously, Sudha knows that she's gotta do it within the space she has right now, because most of these options are gonna take 6 months to a year.
Oh, at least, yeah.
If not longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sudha and I have discussed that because, nothing gets done quickly. So these are all options. So, but I still believe that we should sit down and do a pro forma to have some idea of
Who does
what
the
sort of
perform?
income.
You-
John does.
you do the paperwork on it?
John with input from Sudha and maybe from me as well. Yeah. But,
We would still need a retail pharmacy consultant. See,
yes, absolutely,
long-term, they know their business. They
Yeah.
know.
absolutely.
Well, can't we rely on Sudha for that? She's got amazing.
I was going to say, Jean, I know the UK is a little bit different to the US, but I actually designed and built my own pharmacy in the UK. So you don't need a consultant. You can just pay me for it.
Okay, well, how much would you charge us?
I'll be your consultant.
Well, it's the
I think that's
retail
already
habits.
included in your salary.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't actually. We have to look at that. That's another point. That's a conversation later, maybe over a drink or two.
It's sort of like AI. They look at every angle and everything. The competition, Ridgecrest, mail order, they put everything in there. And we're not capable of doing that, neither is John. So it's the potential and what we could do for what it would cost to have somebody that knows what they're doing in the retail market be money well spent. It's like I'm sure Rite Aid and CVS and the rest of them do their research before they move into it. And one of the reasons that they're empty and right now, they're Chapter 11, so you cannot pay your vendors. So they stop giving you stuff when you stop paying them.
Yeah,
That's why the shelves
Why
are.
the shelves are-
Right, so that's why the shelves are.
It seems like we need to probably let the dust settle from this drugstore thing and just kind of pull back a little bit and just kind of.
But we need to look at our options.
Absolutely.
And we've been, obviously, we've been looking at options. We've had numerous conversations with Sudha.
Well, and then
We're bringing John on to the,
Because I wasn't aware of those conversations,
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to bring
Yeah.
it here, so I would be, or the rest of us would be, up to
which-
speed, so,
absolutely fine. And like I said, it's,
We've been working on it for several weeks.
okay. So, and maybe if you can just kind of keep a spot to keep us informed. Do we want to say that you want to go ahead and start with the pharma? Is that a take away from a lot of stuff that you're already doing, or is?
we can certainly
You want
do
more
that.
money
I
to
still
do it?
like
I just
Dean's
wanna
idea.
clarify that. Okay.
Find some.
Well, I think
Look at
we
the
should, we should look into a consultant and find out, what their,
Then you look at.
they need to tell us what they've done in the past,
I think it's
what their,
Yeah, whatever the
Abilities are.
steps are, I don't
what they
I don't
charge.
know exactly what the steps are, I just asked for it at home and that shows that.
But isn't that performance gonna dictate anything? Like if we look at that and it looks like it's gonna take us 10 years.
Your
to
performance
come
is gonna
anywhere
ultimately-
close to making any money off of doing anything.
Well, that's what the form.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's gotta be like, all of our decisions.
It's gotta be driven by that.
But that's gonna give us, that's gonna give us our path.
Right.
But it-
My
but it doesn't-
experience of hiring a consultant, sometimes for the right circumstances, they can be really helpful. In an instance like this, I think we've got the expertise in-house to actually do it.
What do you know about marketing? What did,
Gene, can I finish my statement, please?
Go ahead.
I let you talk the whole meeting. The consultants are gonna end up interviewing Suda and interviewing John and interviewing Tim. Why don't we just get the answers from Suda, John, and Tim?
was that a question to me? They're gonna also interview all of the other drugstores within the radius, see what the potential is and what it could be, what's going on. Like Suda said, or somebody said, they could get, mail order could get more aggressive for whatever reason. But mail order is mail order. If you need something, you need it. They're gonna use this. It's a question of they use this for the mail order or use
Well,
this
but
for.
that may be able to be something that started whether we're working on a new place or not.
I think it would not hurt to check into consultants and see what they feel they could bring to the table. That doesn't
Right,
cost us
right.
anything.
Let's at least look and see.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to chime in there again. So the reason that you may or may not need a consultant, it might be a good idea, but the reason that you probably don't need one, you've already got your patients out there. A consultant is going to tell you what your demographics are and what the needs are and what your competition is. Currently, we don't have any competition other than Rite Aid because Amazon don't deliver here and Bakersfield pharmacies aren't going to drive all the way here. Ridgecrest is nearly an hour away. So you've already got your patients that need the space. And if they see that there's, a pharmacy that's got the capacity to serve them, that's offering delivery. And the other thing which we're forgetting is flu season's coming up. And I've had patients at Kernville where they would go to the drugstore for the immunization. I don't have the space here to offer that. So that's something else that we would have to add on somehow. Whether we have, I don't know, a bus set up at Kernville or something set up on our parking lot. So you've already got your patient demographics to increase your script numbers and increase your turnover. And what we could do is maybe not go all out. Let's use Mesa, refurbish this for the time being. I mean, I've made it so that I can manage the workflow, so I can manage an increase in prescription numbers by adding these extra workstations in, adding an extra tech and taking on the staff. So let me work with what we have for 6 months to a year. In the meantime, we can take on board experts to advise us on, whether we should have a prefabricated building or, you can cost it out, or whether, take a look at the site that Mark showed me. I could go there and actually lay out where everything would be. That's the best way, just to chalk everything out, that this would be the front, this would be the sniff, this would be your retail pharmacy side. So if I just work with what we have 6 months to a year, that gives us time to slowly decide on what you want. And you'll see the script numbers going up, and you might say, yes, we need to go all out and build something really large, sort of a one-stop pharmacy store rather than just a small community pharmacy. Maybe you'll add your automated dispensing robots that can actually do all the mail order delivery, where they have those adherence packages for patients as well. So there's lots of options, and I think at the moment, staying here, making the best use of what we have while we decide on what we want to do might be an idea, instead of rushing into something and then having it too small. That's the worst case scenario, going into a building and finding that there's not enough space.
I understand that, but when you're building or modifying anything, it doesn't matter how fast we want to go, there is no rush. Everything has to go through steps, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so I appreciate you joining us.
Suda, can I ask Suda a question?
Yeah, you have one more, Jean.
Okay. As far as the flu shots go, we do them, free. My understanding, what I think, why someone would go to a drugstore to get a flu shot is there happen to be in Rite Aid or Walmart, or Walmart or CVS. And it's convenient to get a flu shot there. Now, we're convenient right here at our, just as convenient as the drugstore, as our. Right down the street. What I'm trying to say, could we just take care of most of the flu shots by referring them right down the street? Would that be the same
I can
thing
speak
for
to
us?
that in a minute if you'd
Okay.
like.
Would that be economically the same thing? We would get paid for flu shots either place about the same?
We probably could. The problem that I would have is where would I actually do the flu shots at Mesa?
You
I
wouldn't
would-
do them. You wouldn't do it. We could do another drive-by out in front of, in the parking lot. Alex and I used to do that every year. We charge $20 for a flu
Greg has
shot.
some additional information. We did
Greg does have some
about
additional,
plugging all of those into the immunization
right,
system.
there are new requirements for flu vaccines.
But Greg's out there.
But we could help.
Yeah, Greg, you wanna
Absolutely.
chime in?
It's the documentation. It's heavily regulated with here, so it's the documentation portion of immunizations, which Greg is very familiar with. But if you did have a mobile clinic on the parking lot at Mesa, then I have a pharmacist here. You know, we can go and help with the immunizations if you don't have enough staff to do that. So we could assist with that. So, Greg.
Yeah, we can always take the mobile clinic. We could do them out of the mobile clinic anywhere. The biggest thing like that came up is the reporting requirements that started in 2023. So back in the day with what Mark was talking about, sure, we could line people up because there was no reporting to any agencies. So it's definitely a process, and it would take a lot of support staff time. So you just have to keep that in mind, that it's mostly the support staff. Finding someone to actually administer the vaccine that's the easy part. It's the registration, collecting any billing, collecting co-payments, processing the billing. That's where it gets problematic.
The processing wouldn't be via prescriptions, and we could process the billing the same way that we do prescriptions. Would that not be the case, Greg? We could take co-pays at Mesa.
Sure, if you're doing that, you could definitely do that, but just keep in mind that you have to report all of your vaccines through the care system.
Yeah.
It's a process to go through. If you want to do that, then I can definitely point you in the right direction for setting that up.
And then we could have, once we've done the paperwork, we could send them over to the mobile unit to have the vaccination. It's only because I've had quite a lot of patients asking, and they're not sure where to go for vaccinations. And some of these patients, they're coming over from Kernville, and they don't want to go to Rite Aid. So I just need to have a solution for them.
Okay,
Well, if
Suda,
you're doing vaccines if you're doing all the billing and that through the pharmacy, then the vaccine should go in the pharmacy. If you're asking us to do it through the mobile clinic, then it should be done through the mobile clinic. So
Yeah.
it gets messy when you're trying to blend two different services, two people doing the same job.
Yeah, we'd have to talk about this, Greg, and I don't think I don't have the space at Mesa to offer vaccines, unfortunately.
There's another issue that has to be considered too, is we've already ordered our vaccines January?
January, yeah.
So we have enough to do what we thought we were gonna do here. Obviously, we have ordered less because the community hasn't been coming to us like they used to, primarily because they could get them at the drugstore and elsewhere. So we've got what we've got for this year. So, if anything you were gonna do now,
Would
we
be
could
next.
do what we normally do, and then whatever is left, we could do on a first come, first served basis. Size, you know, that's,
One thing at a time.
yeah, right.
We're already putting the horse before.
Actually, Tim, can patients just walk into Mountain View if they want a flu vaccine? Or do they have to be a registered patient? Or can they just walk in?
That's a great question.
Great.
It's a loaded question because once they come in, we need to establish them as patients. If there's ways that we've gone around that in the past. Historically, what we've done is we allow our own existing patients to come in for a flu shot once we know that we've met the needs of our facility. So once we've administered all of our employee shots when we have the vaccine available, if there are established patients, then we let them come in and we do their flu shots.
Okay, I hate to move us on, but Greg, thank you for your input and Suda for your input. And these are all things that will be discussed, but we need to move on to the rest of the meeting. All
Thank
right.
you. Bye, everyone. Bye, I'm gonna leave. Thank you.
So keep it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add Mesa Clinic Pharmacy to that.
Hey. F for a capital expenditure request.
Okay, so probably most of you know that we had an air conditioner on the Mesa Clinical Pharmacy die. And we were operating with portable air conditioners. And so this is replacing the air conditioner that was, I don't know how old. We couldn't even find a nameplate that was legible on it.
And it happened at the worst possible time.
When it was 107. Yes.
For 4 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody servicing those or looking at them to see if maybe
My-
that could happen?
My staff service our air conditioning. I have an air conditioning mechanic who checks and changes
But it
filters.
didn't just quit, it just slowly went.
It's been giving us some problems for several years. We had to keep adding refrigerant. It would slowly lose it over time. One of the contactors caught on fire and burned up. We replaced that. We've been nursing it along. When it quit this time, I couldn't get anybody here from Bakersfield, but they worked with us over the phone. And we did everything that they suggested, and we added the refrigerant, we ran it, the compressor was running, there was no high head pressure, but we were getting no cold air. And so it was done. And so.
This was an emergency fix.
Yeah, the emergency, it cost about twice what it should have cost.
No, you haven't bought a barge unit in a while.
I haven't, it's only 5 tons, that's not.
I understand that. They cost twice as much as a normal 5-ton unit.
Okay.
The problem is, okay, so what some people have been doing, because barge units have become so expensive. Barge units are the ones that hang on the end of the building, like you see at school sites and stuff on the portable buildings and stuff. That's what is on Mesa Clinical Pharmacy, are 2 of those. The ductwork that runs above the ceiling is the supply and return are designed for that unit on the wall. Now, the only other option you have is you can go with a ground mount 5-ton unit that is duct, and then you have to run ducting up the side of the building. Our problem is we do not have the space to do it because we have about 3 feet of space, and then we have a steep bank down to the neighbor's property. So we physically couldn't go with a ground mount barge unit that could tie into the ductwork. So our ground mount unit wasn't a barge unit. So we had to go with a barge unit. They had one, yeah, anyway, so in Sacramento. And so we're just passing this by you because it is technically a capital, but it was ordered and it's installed and working. But
It's working good, I think.
it's working very well.
And so the amount being requested is the 19.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make them.
I haven't received the final bill. The 3,500 installation was an estimate. What's included in that 3,500 is the crane. Normally, if we didn't have that same bank issue, we could have used our portable equipment lift and we could have raised it up on the side of the building and put it in. But because of the bank and no room to maneuver, we literally had to crane it in. And it's working, and it's working great. And it is oversized from the old unit. So it has the ability to provide more cooling than the original one. And I also recommend that we change the other one out, maybe this fall or something. Winter.
So is the 3,500 included in the 19?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the unit itself was 15, I believe. It's listed. Yeah, for change. Yeah, when I contacted them, he said, "Are you sitting down?" The cost of these have gone out through the roof in the last few years. But
So,
there's only one company that makes next year. Yeah,
If we put an addition, like you said, we could put mini splits in there.
yes, we considered mini splits as an option. The challenge is that building is so tight on
There's
space.
so many little places.
So many,
too.
where do you mount all of these? Because every room has to have a
But
unit.
the addition you could use for.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a,
so we have a first from Jean, right?
Yes, yes.
And a second from
Me.
Fred? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
appreciate that because it's already in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Western Whole staff is very appreciative.
Oh,
And so are the drugs that are in there.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so the carpet placement,
Yeah, that's for the old accounting house, which is the new HR. I felt the price was very reasonable.
Yeah. There's a reasonable.
Yeah, no kidding.
1,600, I think.
That's not a bad price, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really reasonable.
does anybody have questions on that one?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in?
Yeah, I have pictures. I and Heidi have pictures of the old carpet with
Ew.
circular wear patterns
Nice.
almost through the carpet from the accounting chambers.
Like I didn't hear.
Oh, I said all in favor.
She asked if everyone's in favor. Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'm not in favor most of the time, but I am right now.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, good, because it's going in tomorrow.
And then there's H, the invoice review and approval, which is an action item.
Yes, we only had two. The NPC evaluation from Rainbow it's a small amount.
Greenbelt,
46 to predict. Yeah, it was 46.98. Where we're at on this is we have this particular invoice was for engineering from mechanical plumbing and working on the water rationing plan. So you understand on the NPC stuff, we have to not only anchor all of the equipment and things in the building, but we have to come up with water rationing plans in case we were to lose water. Now, as part of our NPC upgrade, when we go to NPC 5, what our plan is, just refreshing your memory, was putting a well across the street and being able to have that on emergency generator power. So if we had that and the well produced enough volume, which I believe it would based upon, because I had Kissick give me what their wells here in town produce, we would not actually have to do water rationing. But a lot of hospitals, because they're going with a tank of water, they're having to go with a water rationing plan. But right now, we are submitting a water rationing plan, but our plan is that we won't have to reduce.
And
But-
that would be on the property across the street?
Yes.
And like pipes underneath?
And piped under the street with a permanent encroachment under the street and tied into our existing water system with a series of valves. That's the plan. So this is our engineers working on for our NPC submittals to Oshkosh each guy. So that's what this invoice is for.
I had a question on the JTS invoice.
Yes.
Wasn't that the last page, the conditional waiver and release on what is this? Did we have a lien against this? What does this tell?
No, this is standard when you're working with a general contractor on projects that are prevailing wage. There is a conditional waiver and release. In other words, they're signing off that minus retentions that this work is done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just their certification. We're happy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve the invoice.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you very much. Any questions or anything before we go? No. Okay, it is 2:10 and the Building and Planning Committee is adjourned. Thanks for letting me drag it out.